Canterbury has a local voice. It's Canterbury Mornings with Chris Lynch.
Newstalk ZB, Canterbury Mornings with Chris Lynch. Well, one of the greatest musicians and legendary guitarists of our generation, Rock and Roll Hall of Famer Carlos Santana, is set to ignite our stage one more time. He's coming to the Garden City. He is on the phone and joins me now. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Lovely to speak with you this morning. How does it feel to be known as one of the greatest guitarists of our generation?
Well, I'm really grateful. I'm really flattered, and really humbled to be in the company of B.B. King or Paco de Lucia, John McLaughlin, Stevie Ray, or anyone like that.
You most certainly are. Now, I have to ask you this question. You have won 10 Grammy Awards. Where do you keep them all?
Not in my house. At my house, nothing by Santana is allowed to be here. We keep this in the office, but at my house, I don't like to bring. Most people have that stuff in their house, but I keep Santana away from Carlos because I learned a long time ago to separate the personality from the person, and give it a rest. So when I'm on stage, I'm 1,000% out of 100. But as soon as I put the guitar down and I'm off the stage, it's nice and fun to just be a person and not be carrying all that weight or responsibility to live up to some. This is what hurts a lot of musicians. They kill themselves trying to maintain that pace of being like, whether it's Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, or so many, Jimi Hendrix. People, it's almost like they OD on themselves. So you got to know when to give it a rest. When you stay on stage with that stage kind of like rock star mentality, you smell funny because you very seldom take a shower. You talk really loud. You're always drunk or on drugs, And when I saw that, I said, that doesn't look like fun. So I decided a long, long time ago in the 70s to crystallize that idiom or that thing and say, when I'm on stage, I'm going to do this with all my heart and soul. But when I'm off the stage, I'm going to learn to be a better person.
I want to come to your spirituality shortly, but talking of drugs, being drunk and the booze, what do you remember about Woodstock that basically propelled your career?
I remember that it was very impressive to see so many people involved caring to stop the war in Vietnam, caring to change the ideals of the United States government, people who believe in a different form of God and a different form of politics and religion. There's something about the hippies, which, the hippies are still around, but the new young hippies, I call them warriors of passion for compassion. There's still a lot of conscious, caring people. This is the new hippies today. In the old days, the hippies got a bad rap that they were always dirty and drunk or stoned or this or that. Mm-hmm. But in the beginning, it wasn't that. In the beginning, it was people with high ideals, like almost like beatniks and existentialists and French resistance kind of thing. We were resisting the government. We basically didn't go along with the Pope and Nixon. And we still don't. We honor the people's freedom to see what they see, but we don't want to follow leaders who don't have a consistency with compassion and for sharing. You know what I mean?
Actually, on that note, what did you make of the Pope stepping down?
I think it's a great idea because it makes the individuals understand that you don't need a middleman to go to God. You can go directly.
What an excellent point. I completely agree with you. Carlos, tell me this. You have been described as a global ambassador of optimism, opportunity, and love. Does that sum you up?
Well, I'm really grateful. The people that I, of course, follow constantly are Bob Marley and the Dalai Lama, Desmond Tutu, Mother Teresa, even though, so there's certain principles that I love. For example, I play these songs over and over. what's going on, imagine, blowing in the wind, one love, what a wonderful, what a wonderful world. I play songs that they should be the new anthems at church because they're all inclusive. Some churches, if you don't believe in what they believe, then all of a sudden their God becomes Godzilla. God is love to me. God is not like I'm jealous and I'm vengeful, and if you piss me off, I'll flood the earth again. It's like, whoa. You got some anger management issues, dude. Go see, you're like Godzilla. My God is love.
I think I'd quite like to meet your God, to be honest. Actually, I was going to ask you this question, but I think I've worked it out for myself, Carlos. You were quoted once as saying religions are like Pepsi Cola, Coca-Cola, wine or beer. What did you mean by that?
They're all corporations. The only one that's really like water in the desert is called spirituality, and that's your own personal relationship with God.
Let's talk about your sound, because your sound is so distinctive. You consistently create something new, but at the same time, when I hear your sounds, Carlos Santana, I know it's you. Is that something consciously you've done that brands you?
It is conscious. I think that everyone is born with their own fingerprints and identity and their own individuality. Unfortunately, a lot of people trade it to become like somebody else, and they start, it starts in school. They start dressing like somebody else. They start mimicking someone else. But, in this world, planet Earth, there's gazillion trillion people in 1,000 years. Why? But there's only one of you. Why would you want to trade you and be a bad copy of somebody else?
It is actually interesting you say that, because I don't know if you agree with this, but I find a lot of the pop music today, it seems like the producers behind the pop stars are the ones consistently and constantly stamping their mark on their music. It seems like artists today have no say. It's the producers that are making them that stamp their marks. Do you understand what I'm getting at?
Totally. And I think that the few people like, AC/DC or Led Zeppelin or Santana, there's certain people who say, no, I tell you what, you just go push the buttons and I'll tell you when to go up and down, and we know the music better than you do. And when you can go on stage and play in front of 500,000 people and hold them for 2 hours without walking away, then maybe I'll listen to what you have to say. In the meantime, just give me some good sounds and just get out of the way.
There's a quote I quite like that you said once in a TV interview last year. Carlos, you said you've learned a lot from Janis Joplin on how to connect with your audience. Can you explain that for me?
Yeah, Janis Joplin was very vulnerable. She had a mask about being tough, because she was the queen of the Hells Angels at one time. I mean, I went to see her one time, and there was 200 Hells Angels that came to see her, and the sound of the motorcycles crossing the street, 200 of them, and they had a police escort because there were so many. They all came to see Janis Joplin, and when she was singing, Ball and Chain and all that, it was beautiful. Yet, when she was alone, she was extremely frail and vulnerable and very weak because she was not confident about herself. So as someone like she pumped herself up to go on stage, kind of like Judy Garland did. But when she's alone, she was wondering, why do people even like me? So I learned that one time I saw her in Pittsburgh, and she was singing, and then she reached out her hand to touch people, and the whole audience became like one hand and wanted to just connect with her own vulnerability. Do
you think that's what made her relatable to her audience? Because we've all got issues, we've all got problems, we're all normal at the end of the day.
The most vulnerable person that I ever met on telephone, because I never saw him live, is Michael Jackson. He was so soft and vulnerable, and just nobody understands my pain, and I was like, oh, damn, Yet when he was on stage, he was ferocious like a lion, dancing and everything, attacking every move. But again, when he's alone, is very sensitive and vulnerable, So yes, people connect with vulnerability. Nobody wants to connect with an armadillo or a porcupine. You know?
It is interesting you say that. I was going to ask about when you worked with Michael Jackson on a song in 2001. So you never actually met him, but you recorded your guitar on one of his songs. Explain to me your relationship with him, because I know that you talked to Michael Jackson just weeks before he died.
Yes, and I was trying to turn him onto this book that I'm reading because this book would not allow him to, if he would have read it, it would not allow him to basically, some comedians make fun, and they say, what killed Michael Jackson? And they go, Michael Jackson. And what killed Whitney Houston? And they say, Whitney Houston. What killed Jimi Hendrix? And they say, Jimi Hendrix, you know? And so you have to know when to put your monkey chatter and your demons on a leash. I only want to listen to my soul. I don't want to go to the mirror and start fixing my nose or fixing my hair. I'm perfect the way God made me, you know. So the book that I'm reading is called A Course in Miracles. And this book, there's a part in there that says, simplicity is difficult for a twisted mind to understand.
Do you think with people like Michael Jackson and Whitney Houston, their fame consumed them?
What consumed them was they listened to the wrong voices in their heads.
Canterbury has a local voice. It's Canterbury Mornings with Chris Lynch.